All right, so let's talk about how to understand a man's weaknesses. All right. Now, mind you, the reason why you need to understand a man's weakness is because a man's weakness and his strength is because it'll allow you to have a better understanding on his character. And understanding a man's character by simply, and this is the thing, ladies, is that what I'm teaching you guys is simply ways to understand them. Because once you understand them, then you're able to communicate with them properly. The problem with most communication is that it's usually one-sided, usually trying to be understood. And I can promise you, by trying to understand, you're gonna communicate a lot more effectively. You just will, because you're not gonna be creating misunderstandings no more. You see what I'm saying? And misunderstanding is one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest um, conflict things in relationships. You see what I'm saying? So let's go about this, right? The first problem with understanding a man's strength and weakness is that people attempt to conceal their weaknesses and highlight their strength. So if you buy in to appearances, which is something that I'm teaching you in this course not to do, if you buy into it, you're going to be misled, led astray, and run amok. And you're going to be deceived. You see what I'm saying? What you got to do is learn to see through the smoke screens. And the smoke screens that people throw at you is in the form of the strengths, in the form of one-sided strengths, which we're going to discuss, right? And also their words, right? Their words, baby, I just had a moment. I was just mad at one time. You see what I'm saying? So that's the first problem, because we trust people's appearances a lot, right? Humans, let me tell you something. Humans are the only animal. A lion, you could tell by just looking at a lion, it's dangerous. And a snake, just look at a snake, you can't trust that motherfucker, right? But humans are the only humans, or the only animals that you can't tell who's the most dangerous one. You can have a group of people, and sometimes the most dangerous looking one is the most docile one. And most of the time, the quietest one is the most dangerous one. So that's a problem with understanding humans and trying to almost like put them in a box. You really can't, right? And the next thing is that next problem is that they try to. You usually see a guy, and you usually deal with him based on the reputation. So you usually see the guy's reputation. So let's just say that you have your own projections, right? And you already have bad arguments with him. And in your head, you think he's the kind of person that thinks he's always right. In your head, you think he's the kind of person that is stubborn, right? So in your head, you already have a reputation of him. You really believe he's a certain way. So what you want to do is always be exploring the person. Don't allow your view of the person to remain static, and always try to understand them with compassion. You see what I'm saying? Like with compassion, not out of like, I got you, bitch. No, it's more like, okay. Assume that people inside are weak and in pain, and treat them accordingly, unless they're narcissists, which we talked about. We ain't talking about the narcissistic people, ladies and gentlemen. Always try to find out and think your way into their head and see how they may have repeated that pattern, or how that pattern comes out in different ways in different areas of life. You see what I'm saying? If someone's an asshole and he's a priest, he's gonna be a priest who's an asshole. If somebody's a nice guy, he becomes a priest, he's gonna bring his niceness to the priestlyhood. You see what I'm saying? If someone's a pedophile and he becomes a priest, he's gonna bring the pedophilia to the priesthood. You see what I'm saying? That's what you gotta understand. People never do things just once. Right? If a priest molested somebody, they'll molest somebody else again. Oh yeah. The next thing is the decisions they've made in the past. Decisions in terms of the quality of the decision, right? Or for example, they continually keep getting the wrong partners. They continually are getting unintended consequences. They're shocked by the consequences of their lives. They always find the same partner. They always find themselves in just bad financial situations. They always purchase the wrong thing. They're always getting in debt. They're always dating the assholes. For some reason, you're the nice girl, and he's like, you know what, man, I'll stop dating strippers, man. I'm gonna quit dating strippers, man. You know what I'm saying? Always remember that you want to judge somebody based on the decisions they made. If you notice that somebody keeps getting in debt, If somebody keeps borrowing money to live a certain lifestyle continually, that is a reflection of their character. You want to look for other things that reflect that. Don't look at what they say. They might say that they're very stable and that they're rational, but notice the things they purchase. Notice the decisions they made, where they moved, the people who they hang around with, the kind of clothes they choose to wear, right? The kind of career path they choose to take, or the kind of career path they choose not to take. You see what I'm saying? Judge them on that. And that is a very easy thing to do, because all you gotta do is just explore and ask. You see? The next thing is how they work with others. You know, are they collaborative, or do they try to take control? Right? When they work with you as a partner, do you notice that they ask you for your question, for your decision, for your opinion, or do they always try to do things themselves, or do they make you do everything? Excuse me. That's a reflection of who they are, and you don't want to ignore that. And it's not that you're just going to judge them on that, but you're going to bring everything together into one whole big profile. You're making a case for that person, right? How they handle failure and success. Do you notice they blame the other person? Or do you notice they blame themselves? Do you notice they take responsibility? Or do you notice they talk bad on somebody and they blame the higher ups? Do you notice they blame their people below them? Do you notice that in their relationships, for some reason, they're always the one that's right? Or when they succeed, do you notice they start feeling different? They start feeling separate. They start feeling like they're special. They start assuming that just because they succeeded somewhere, they're going to succeed in every area. You know what I'm saying? You want to judge, and that's a big one, to be honest with you. Like success and money and failure and power will reveal a lot of who they are. Like for me, example, I ain't bragging, people, but it does shock people when they know that I'm a YouTuber and I just don't tell them, you know? Like, I accidentally told my family yesterday, and they were like, their fucking jaws dropped. They're like, I was like, fuck, I made a mistake, right? But it's kind of like they were shocked because they just wouldn't tell. They will not be able to tell, but just looking at the way I behave, the way I talk about myself, they can't tell because I make that intentional. You know, I want to be able to be more, not low key, but you know, it's you know, I want to be able to, you know, it's no big deal. Right? But a lot of people will suck that in and talk about that all the time and make that part of their identity. That's a reflection of their character. And you want to find a way to see how does that reflect the other parts of who they are. Notice how they handle daily affairs. If they're late once, they might be late again. And they might be late all the time. If they don't pay attention to details and small things, they'll do the same thing with bigger things. They won't pay attention to details and big things. You see what I'm saying? It's like Sun Tzu once said, running, he said in the Art of War, managing an army of 100 is the same as managing an army of 100,000. Same thing. It's just at a bigger scale. If you're not detail oriented when you're learning how to draw, you're not going to be detail oriented once you have a big project. You see what I'm saying? If you're not a focused kid when you're small, and actually no, but the point is that notice how they handle their daily things. Do they pay attention to detail, or do they not? You know what I'm saying? Are they always procrastinating with those things? Bring all of that into the equation to judge this person's strengths and weaknesses. And then you'll be able to have a better expectation and not get frustrated when you assume he's one way and in reality he's another. This will give you a broader picture of who this person is. Is there a discrepancy between what they say and do? Do they act like saint? Do they say pay their debts and they're in debt? Are they hypocrites about that? Do they talk about how they're so good with everybody, but they're the biggest assholes in the world? Do they talk about loyalty and then they snitch on your ass when it's time to pay up? Notice between what they say, how they live their lives, and how they really live their lives. Look for one-sided traits, and then look for the opposite. If he's a hyper masculine man, look for femininity behind that. Men who are hyper masculine tend to be very self-consumed with their appearance. They tend to have a suppressed anima, a female nature that's inside that's suppressed. If somebody comes or is always talking about how responsible they are, or about how mentally strong they are, look for signs of mental weakness inside. Look for signs of emotional weakness. Just look for it. Anytime somebody acts so powerful on one side, just make it an exercise or make it a muscle to just actively look for the opposite. Not to try to call them out on it, but to try to understand them. You see, again, you want to look for the contours of people's shadow. You don't want to look at the flat, two-dimensional version of who they tell you they are, because they only tell you the good things about them. Next thing is look for emotional outburst. This will come with apologizing and a desire for you to imagine the outburst was just a one-time thing. Baby, I didn't mean to slap the living shit out of you. My hand just moved. I just had a moment. I just was a little drunk. Notice the people who they admire and why. Do they admire 50 Cent? Notice, for example, if you notice, there's a lot, like if you notice villains, people admire like the Joker. But why is that? Because there's a Joker inside of every one of us. A lot of guys admire Don Corleone, Al Pacino. It's because a lot of them want to be gangsters. A lot of them want to have that dark side that they can't bring out. It tells you a lot about a person, who they admire and why they admire them. Me, I admire Michelangelo because of his work ethic and his passion for art. I admire Leonardo da Vinci for the same thing. I admire Robert Greene for the same thing. I hate James Harden and Westbrook because of how selfish they play. So what does that say about me? That says that I hate selfish players. What does that say about me? That says that I wish I have the ball in my hand more. That says I want to exert more control. And I just hate the fact that you're controlling the game. That's a sign of helplessness. When I say I admire Michelangelo, that means that it might mean that I sort of believe that I could do more, maybe. You want to look for why people admire this person, and you could just let them talk about it. And you can easily tell a lot about them or who they hate. You see what I'm saying? Like, who do I hate? I hate I don't know, who do I hate? LaMelo Ball, right? I hate LaMelo Ball because he's overrated as fuck. I mean, that motherfucker's overrated as hell. He's a basketball player. He's overrated as hell. That dude is so ass, and he's like, they talk about him like he's the fucking second coming, right? But what does that say about me, right? I hate that, but deep down, if you pay attention to me, I play basketball, right? Every basketball player wants to be liked, right? So it could be some jealousy, the desire to have what he wants, right? And that might be just a little side thing about me, but it may not be a reflection of who I am. That just might be one little thing. But the point is that you want to ask yourself those questions. You want to really, really dive into those parts of the person, because that's how you really get to know the person, when you actively look for those things. Next thing is look for contrary behavior. Like I say, if he's super masculine, see what's behind that. If he hates gay people, see what's behind that. If he acts like a saint and hates sinners, see what's behind that. When they're drunk or under the influence, notice their behavior. That's a big part. That's a big part right there, to be honest with you. And they'll tell you, please don't pay attention. I was just drunk. Nah, bitch, you weren't drunk. Your real self came out. Notice what they conceal from their parents and what they reveal around you. Notice what they conceal to their parents and the things that they choose to reveal. And notice the difference between him at home and him with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, pay attention to those things. Like, the little parts that he suppresses and the parts that he doesn't suppress. Because that means that the parts that he doesn't suppress, that he does bring out when his parents are not around, are parts of his more wild side. Are parts of this are a little bit closer to his dark side. See what I'm saying? And I was gonna say, notice how he acts around his friends, but you'll never find out. Oops, sorry about that. I'm on camera, right? And that's how the cookie crumbles. See what I'm saying? It's one of those things that you just have to pay attention. That's all you got to do. Just pay attention to those things. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys ever want to learn how to use your feminine energy to influence people, learn how to use your masculine energy to become more assertive, and also learn how to blend both energies to improve your dating life, your spiritual life, honestly, your relationship life, your family life, your career life, this is the course for you. If I had to make a course for my nieces, I have two nieces. One is 8, 19, and one is 14, 15.
16. Holy shit. Oh my God, he's a bad fucking uncle. He's a bad uncle. Get him. Shut up, Melissa. You should get this course, right? And this is the course that I will make for them. So, for example, watch the curriculum, right? In the first week, we're going to be showing you how to establish a strong masculine foundation without letting it hurt your feminine energy. This masculine foundation is a source of who you are, right? It's your bodyguard. Without this, whatever feminine energy you create will be destroyed by the outside, because your masculine is your shield. So we'll talk about goal setting. We'll talk about how to develop a serious attitude. We're gonna be talking about how to use more logic, how to use more goal-oriented behavior. It's more how to be a man, Now the next one is how to embrace the feminine energy, right? This one will teach you about how to minimize excessive masculine traits, developing self-awareness, healing abundant feminine energy, regulating your emotion, mastering voice qualities and facial expressions, surrendering control, and allowing pain to be felt. This is honestly, this will supercharge, like Kaioken, your masculine energy. After that, we have femininity in the workplace, and how to be feminine in the workplace without letting people take advantage of you, and the nuances of how women on power should behave versus women who are subordinates in the workplace, and even the dress code. This is based on psychology, people. It's kind of insane. I'm actually excited about this one. The next week, we talk about navigating the labyrinth of male and female friendship, and this a lot of women find confusing, so we talk about that. And how to identify envious friends, how to identify the good friends, how to keep male friends, and how to keep female friends. Week 5, we talk about how to release the burden of the past and stop and destroy mental projections. This is actually really powerful. And then week 6, we talk about how to increase your observational power so that you could read people better. And we have a bunch of bonuses. The course starts at $99, and you guys can pre-order the course today at $69 before it goes out. If you're watching this, most likely I'm in the meditation retreat, so I will be praying for all of you guys. And just click on the description down below of the video. Right there, you'll see it, and you could pre-order that course. It's gonna be out by the end of next month or the beginning of February of March. One of the two, people, because I have a 10-day retreat to do, and I want to finish the course after the retreat, because I think the ideas are gonna be so much better. All right, man. I'll see you guys later. Pre-order, man. I'm closing the channel.